Nobody expected a 14-year-old girl to change the whole room with a piano, but that's exactly what Janelle Rucker did. On a Friday morning no one would ever forget. It happened at Eastgate Middle School in Toledo, Ohio. Everyone was packed into the gym for one of those boring school assemblies, the kind where even the teachers look tired and the janitor pretends to be busy just to avoid it. The gym smelled like old sneakers and leftover popcorn. The chairs squeaked every time someone moved, and the microphone kept crackling like it was about to give up. Principal Richard Lell was up on stage, pacing back and forth, trying too hard to be funny. He was the kind of grown-up who thought he got kids but always ended up being cringy. Then he said, "And now, a performance from our very own Eastgate Choir." The clapping was weak. A few kids clapped out of pity. Someone in the back even yelled, "Boo ring," before getting shushed. The choir came up, but their speaker wasn't working. The Bluetooth wouldn't connect. They tried again and again. The room got restless. People started whispering, fidgeting. The moment got awkward. That's when Principal Lell looked down at the front row. All the new kids were sitting there. And then he spotted her, Janelle. She was sitting alone. Hoodie pulled over her hands, two thick braids, eyes on the floor, quiet. She had only been at Eastgate for 2 weeks. No one really knew her. She didn't talk much. She carried a black notebook everywhere. Rumors said she could play piano, but no one had seen her do it. Principal Lell smirked, leaned into the mic and said, "Maybe our new student can play us a little something. Jazz it up a bit." The room laughed. Not loud, but just enough. It wasn't friendly. It was the kind of laugh that makes you feel small. A few kids turned and stared at Janelle like she was a joke. She didn't smile, didn't flinch. She just stared at the floor. But she heard it, every word. The choir teacher, Miss Green, cleared her throat awkwardly. One of the counselors looked like they wanted to disappear. And then Janelle stood up. She didn't ask permission. She didn't say a word. She just walked to the stage, calm, like this was normal, but it wasn't. Nobody saw this coming, not even Principal Lell. His fake smile faded. Janelle sat at the piano. The whole room went still, not excited still, uncomfortable still, the kind of silence that feels heavy. She cracked her knuckles, put her hands on the keys and played the first note. It wasn't a song from music class. It wasn't pop or classical. It wasn't anything they expected. It was soft at first, slow, like something deep, like sorrow, like memory. It sounded like someone humming in a quiet kitchen after a funeral, like rain tapping on a window in the middle of the night. A few kids sat up straighter. One whispered, "Is she making that up?" She was. It was her own song. She wrote it after her cousin was shot back in Dayton. She never talked about it, not even with her mom. But she poured all of it into this piece. And now, she was sharing it. The music told a story. It built up, crashing and climbing, like pain trying to break through. Her eyes filled with tears, but her hands never stopped. The room was silent, the kind of silent where you can feel it in your chest. Teachers leaned forward. Some students stopped recording and just watched. It wasn't just music anymore. It was truth. It was grief. It was being tired of being seen only when it fits someone else's idea of who you should be. And she kept going. She played sounds that felt like gospel, blues, soul, the kind of music you hear in churches and homes filled with love and loss. Each note spoke about things the school never talked about, assumptions, labels, being misunderstood. By the time she slowed back down, people were frozen. Her last note hung in the air like a prayer. Then, silence. Nobody clapped right away, not because they didn't want to, but because they didn't know how. It felt sacred. She stood up, hands still shaking, hoodie sleeves wet from tears. She didn't smile, didn't bow, just walked off the stage same way she came, quiet and steady. Miss Green met her at the steps. She didn't say anything, just placed a hand on Janelle's shoulder, the kind of touch that says I saw you, and that meant something. Then the clapping started. One clap, then another, then more, and soon the whole room was on its feet. Even the kid who yelled "Boo Ring" was clapping now. Principal Lell came back to the mic. For once, he had nothing clever to say, just a quiet, "Thank you, Janelle. That was very powerful." His voice cracked. He tried to play it cool. It didn't work. Everyone knew his joke wasn't just a joke. It came from somewhere deeper, from a place that carries quiet bias, the kind that hides behind smiles, the kind Janelle had heard her whole life. Back in Dayton, a teacher once told her she must have natural rhythm in her blood. Another teacher asked if she could play something other than hip-hop when she played one of her own pieces. So yeah, when Principal Lell said, "Jazz it up," it hit different. That joke, that was the last straw. Afterward, the choir didn't even sing. Ms. Green whispered something to them, and they quietly walked off stage. Nobody complained, because Janelle had already said everything that needed saying. By the end of the day, her performance was all over social media. People were sharing it everywhere. Her name was out there now, not as the quiet girl in the hoodie, but as the girl who made the whole school stop and feel something real. And Principal Lell? He didn't say another word to her for the rest of the day. Not in the hallway, not at lunch, not even when she walked past his office. But he didn't need to. Everyone had already seen what she could do, and nobody would forget it. After seventh period on Friday, it wasn't over. Not even close. That video, the one people laughed at in the beginning, was only the start. The real story was just beginning now, that the world had seen what the school tried to turn into a joke. By Monday morning, Eastgate felt different. Not louder, not crazier, just different. Students whispered in the halls, gathered around phones, replaying Janelle's piano performance like it was the latest viral dance. But it wasn't a challenge or a trend. It was raw. It was real. The video had opened something up, something bigger than just music. By Sunday night, a local radio station had reposted it. Then a news outlet picked it up with a headline, "Student turns joke into jaw-dropping piano performance." And by Monday, Janelle's name was trending in the city. But the strange part? She didn't care. She didn't check her phone. She didn't read the comments or look at the notifications. Because for her, this wasn't about going viral. It was about finally being heard. Miss Green pulled her aside before second period and asked gently, "You okay?" Janelle just nodded. "Yeah, just tired." Miss Green gave a soft smile. "You shook the whole building. You know that." Janelle looked away. She didn't know what to say. "You didn't just play the piano," Miss Green said. "You spoke without saying a word." Janelle nodded again, slower this time, like she was just starting to realize people actually heard her. Later that day, Miss Anita, the front office secretary, handed her a pile of envelopes, notes, drawings from sixth graders, messages like, "You're so cool," and "You play like you mean it." Even Principal Lell was quiet. No lunch table visits, no silly jokes over the intercom. People said the district superintendent had called him in. Some parents had already reached out. Some supported Janelle. Others were angry. One mom wrote, "Why is a grown man making jokes at a child's expense? You need to fix this." Another said, "That young lady deserves an apology, and so does every student who's ever been treated like a stereotype." By Tuesday, news crews showed up outside the school. Cameras pointed at the building. The voiceover said, "What started as a school assembly became a moment of truth." Inside, students walked a little straighter. Teachers looked more thoughtful. And Janelle, she still ate lunch alone. Not because she was sad, she just needed space. Her fingers tapped quietly on her jeans, building a new melody in her mind. Another song, another truth she hadn't found the words for yet. A few students said hi. One of them, Malik from art class, sat across from her. "You really played the hell out of that piano," he said. "Made people feel stuff they didn't want to feel." Janelle smiled. First time all day. "You think Leo's gonna say sorry?" Malik shrugged. "Probably not. But that's okay. You already said more than he ever could." Deep down, Janelle knew this wasn't about an apology anymore. This was bigger now. People were watching, listening, and silence. Silence wasn't an option anymore. On Wednesday, everyone was called into the auditorium again. Same stage, same piano. But this time, the mood was different. Principal Lell walked to the mic. No jokes, no smile, just a piece of paper in his shaking hands. "I want to talk about Friday," he said. "About Janelle Rucker." The room went quiet. Phones were up. Everyone was recording. "I made a comment I thought was funny, but it wasn't. It was hurtful," he said. "And I'm sorry. I now see that my words came from assumptions, ones I didn't even realize I had." He looked up, eyes scanning the room. "I apologize to Janelle, and I apologize to every student who's ever been made to feel like they didn't belong." He stepped back. Some teachers clapped. A few students joined in. But it wasn't loud. It wasn't joyful. It was careful, because people weren't sure if they believed him yet. The district posted the video online with the caption, "We're committed to listening and learning." But people wanted more than words. They wanted action. Soon, a group of parents and teachers created a committee to push for real change, cultural training, a new school program, and an invite for Janelle to perform again, this time for the school board. Janelle wasn't sure how to feel. She hadn't meant to start all this. She just played what was inside her. Pain, memory, truth. That weekend, her mom, Angela, sat with her at the kitchen table. "You okay?" she asked, pouring tea. "I guess," Janelle said. "It's just a lot." Angela squeezed her hand. "You didn't do anything wrong." "I didn't mean for it to get big," Janelle whispered. Angela smiled. "Sometimes, baby, the truth gets loud on its own." Then she asked, "Do you want to perform again?" "I don't know," Janelle said. "Feels like they're only asking because they feel bad." "Maybe," her mom said, "but that don't mean they don't need to hear it." Janelle looked down at her hands, the ones that told stories without ever speaking. "If I do it, I want to play something new." Angela nodded. "Then write it. Write what they still need to hear." 2 weeks later, the school board meeting was packed, standing room only. Parents, teachers, cameras. In the front row, in a gray hoodie, sat Janelle. This time she brought her own keyboard, because this wasn't for them. It was for her. When her name was called, she walked to the mic. No speech, no paper, just her voice. "My name is Janelle Rucker. I'm 14. I go to Eastgate Middle." Her voice was calm, strong. "I didn't ask to be part of this. I didn't want to go viral. I just wanted to play my music." She looked around. "But the truth is, people like me don't always get to choose when we become the center of something. Sometimes the world decides for us. And when that happens, you either stay quiet or you speak in the way you know how." She sat at her keyboard. No intro, just music. The song she played was softer this time, more hopeful, but still had moments of pain, small stabs in the sound that reminded people what she carried. Midway through, her left hand dropped into a deeper tone, calling back to her first song, but then her right hand danced lightly above it, like hope, like healing. By the end, people were crying, not from pain, but from understanding. Because finally something made sense. The room clapped before she even finished, and for the first time since she came to Eastgate, she felt seen. Not as that new girl, not as a joke, not as a stereotype, but as herself. a person, an artist, a girl with something to say and the strength to say it. After the meeting, parents and teachers came to her. One dad said, "I wish my daughter had your strength." A teacher whispered, "You changed something here." Even Principal Lell came over, hands in his pockets, voice low. "Janelle," he said, "thank you. You've taught me more in 2 weeks than I've learned in 20 years. She looked at him. "Then I hope you're ready to keep learning." He nodded. "I am." Was he perfect now? Number. But that's not how change works. Change starts with a mirror, and Janelle held one up. Later, the school announced a new student-led music program, not just for concerts, but for healing, for stories. Janelle didn't want to lead it, but she helped build it, because what she started wasn't about a single moment. It was about what happens after the moment, when the music fades, when the room gets quiet. That's when real listening begins. So the next time you hear someone getting laughed at, stop and ask, what's their story? What are they carrying? And maybe give them a piano instead of a mic. Let them speak their truth in their own language, because sometimes the loudest voices come from the quietest places. And if you listen, really listen, you'll hear more than music. You'll hear truth.